Greetings, friends. Marc David here, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. Happy Thursday for those of you who are in the part of the universe where it is indeed Thursday, and welcome. I'm going to be talking about some great questions to ask yourself about food. And as well, these are great questions if you're a professional, if you're in the helping professions. These are great questions to ask your clients about food, or to kind of ask the universe on behalf of your clients about food to really help you understand how you can help a client. So we're going to talk about great questions to ask yourself about food. This is going to be applicable just for your own experience of food and body, and as well if you're working with clients. So I'm going to hang out for a couple of minutes, wait for people to pop on, and while I'm doing that, if you would please be willing, just say hi in the comment section below. Let me know where you're from. Let me know where you're tuning in from, just so we can connect and I can connect with you and see who's here. It just makes this process more fun. There's also, you can hit the like button, hit the heart button. You can also share this with your friends. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes before we dive into the topic. I would also like to say, if you don't know this, we are at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating currently enrolling for the winter term coming up in a few months of our eating psychology and mind-body nutrition certification training. So this is our online distance learning professional certification program. It's 8 months. You can take it from anywhere in the world. We cover how to work with weight, body image, overeating, binge eating, emotional eating, endless dieting. It's a great training. Hello, Suzanne from Boston. Yay, glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, if you're popping on, please feel free to say hi in the comments section below. Let me know where you are from. I would so appreciate that. And yeah, I was saying about the eating psychology and mind body nutrition certification training. If you would like to learn more about that, you could email us at info@psychologyofeating.com. That's a good way to kind of get plugged into the system, speak to a staff member, and it's a great training. That's what I'm going to tell you. And a lot of what we're going to be talking about now are some of, and I mean just some of what we cover in the training. Hello, Tiffany from Texas, and hello, Tracy from beautiful Santa Barbara, one of my favorite spots in California. Good for you. Hello, Miss Lindsay Boys, glad you're here. And once again, if you're just hopping on, in a few moments, I'm going to be talking about some great questions to ask yourself about food, and to ask of your clients as well. Veronica, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for saying hi, and I'm glad you're here. Whether you could take the training or not, I'm so glad you're part of our world. And it's Rasha from Egypt. Hello, and I'm glad you're loving the program. That's so sweet, and I'm glad you're in it. What a good thing. You know, it's fascinating because here in the United States, we love to export what we do. And I think we've exported a lot of our bad habits around the world when it comes to food, when it comes to food quality, when it comes to our relationship with food. So we're living in a time when our relationship with food is a little bit problematic. Veronica says your knowledge is amazing. Thank you so much. I've been fanatic about this topic, and you know, it's so driven. My fanaticism around this topic, like so many of us, was driven from my own personal need, you know, my own personal health issues from the time I came into this world. Hello, Magdalena, glad you're here. Thanks for coming by. You know, and so many of us get into this work. We get into helping others because that's been our journey. I remember promising myself that if I could help heal my body of all my health issues, and if I could get over all the nonsense that was in my head about my relationship with food, you know, about my body image, that I would love to then serve others. And, you know, I found ways for me to help myself. And I've been fulfilling my part of the bargain for a long time now, and it feels really good. Shay, thank you for coming by. Glad you're here. So let's dive in. Let's talk about some questions to ask about food. And again, this is asking of yourself, asking of your client. And I just want you to notice there might be a bunch of these questions that aren't really about food. Because oftentimes, hello, Susie from New York, oftentimes The learning around food comes when we widen the circle and understand that food is more than just the actual food that we eat. It really is. Hello, Karen from Australia. So the first question that I want to know about myself, honestly, in just about any given moment, and I certainly want to understand about my client. Hello, Karen. I think I already said hello, Karen. First question I want to ask is, am I in my body? Is my client in his or her body? Now, what a weird question. Am I in my body? Well, of course, here I am. This is my body. I'm in it. You're in it. We're talking. Here's the thing, though, and this is a hard one, but hang in there with me. It's easy for us to be alive on planet Earth, crossing the street, sitting down, at work, eating breakfast, doing my thing, doing whatever we're doing. You could be exercising, you could be jogging, you could be on the treadmill, you could be doing anything and technically not be in your body. In other words, oftentimes the body is just kind of like a life support system for the head. So we're living in our head. Now, oftentimes when I say it like that, clients will go, oh, yeah. That's me. I live in my head. And it's easy to live there. And the head is fine. It's interesting. There's a lot of conversation going on there. There's a lot of discovery that happens there. The head could also be a bad neighborhood for a lot of us sometimes. The head also is not exclusively where we live. So when you're sitting in a chair, it's not your head sitting on top of a body that sits in a chair. You are sitting in the chair. Are you embodied when you're in a chair? Can you feel yourself? Can you feel your back? Can you feel your feet on the ground? Are you present? Are you breathing? When you're driving in the car, are you driving on automatic pilot? So many people do that. Have you ever done that? You like drive somewhere and you don't even know how you got there? I used to do this a lot because I would drive my father to the train station when I was in high school at 5:30 in the morning just so I could have the car for the day. And I would drive him a half hour, drive a half hour back. And literally when I pulled into the driveway of my house, how did I get here? I was out of my body. Now the body goes on automatic pilot. And the body just does what it needs to do. It accounts for the fact that we check out. Hello, Shaima from Berlin. I'm glad you're here. A lot of us check out. Hello, Valencia. Valencia says, I try to avoid autopilot by taking different routes. I love that. That's so good. That is actually a great practice. It's so good to liberate ourselves from autopilot and notice when we check out. You know, there are certain people you probably check out with. There are certain people, when you're around them, maybe because you know them, maybe because you love them, maybe because there's a connection, you're kind of present in your body. If you're with someone who you're really attracted to, like physically, sexually, emotionally, oftentimes like you're on alert and your body is like just things are popping. You're in your body. So there are certain experiences that get us in our body. All of a sudden, if you're driving the car and you're on automatic pilot and somebody almost runs into you, you wake up. So when we ask the question, am I in my body? Yet another way to look at that is am I checked out of my body? We tend to check out and we go on automatic pilot. We do that with food. Your clients do that with food. It is one of the fundamental reasons why we struggle. It's one of the fundamental reasons why we get ill. Why we get ill, one reason is because we're not so in the body. And when we're checked out of the body, we don't notice that things are impacting it. My environment is impacting it. Stress is impacting me. My living environment, oh my God, what's that smell? Oh, it's mold. I didn't notice it because I was checked out. I've worked with clients. This is actually a big one. Clients whose health has just gone south so bad. And they have so many tests and they get so much medical intervention and nothing is helping them. And you go and you do a home visit, and as soon as I walk in their house, I'm like, oh my God, you have mold in this house. When do you feel better, Mr. and Mrs. Client? When do you not feel incredible brain fog and fatigue? And they always say, well, when I'm on vacation. when I'm staying at my sister's house and wherever, yeah, you're out of your moldy environment. So all I'm saying is when we're not checked in to the body, it's easy to miss all the signals that life is trying to give us. Breathing brings us into the body. You call yourself into your body. I did this so many times as a dad when I was raising my son when he was young. Watch this. Kids will check out of their bodies a lot of times when they're in overwhelm. They just like they go somewhere in their head. And I literally tap on my son and said, "Hey, come back, get back in your body." And he'd laugh and he would get back in. Notice where you get out of your body. Notice where your client gets out of their body. Because here's the thing, think about it this way. If you want your car to go somewhere, okay, you got to be in your car. So you might want to take a ride to Massachusetts. You got to be in your car to get somewhere. You got to be in your body to ask your body to get where it wants to go. And I don't just mean walking down the street. I mean, you want to have your best health, your best metabolism, your best experience of eating. You have to be in the biological machine. You have to be in this biocomputer. You got to be occupying it. Kristen says, in my car right now. Okay, well, you pay attention to the road, girl. You know, you be embodied in that way and pay attention here as best you can. That's so cool. So am I in my body? Is my client in his or her body? Notice that. You know, oftentimes I'm inspiring my client. I'm asking them, what helps you be in your body? What helps you really feel like, yeah, this feels good? You know, walking could get you in your body. Taking a shower can get you in your body. Breathing can get you into your body. Knitting can get anything that helps you call yourself, that helps your client call themselves into their body is a good thing. Okay, let's go into another question. Good question to ask yourself about food or ask your client about food is, what else feeds me? What else feeds us? You know, oftentimes when we're dealing with overeating and binge eating and emotional eating and a challenging relationship with food, yeah, it's about food. And yes, it's about other things that are going on in our life. I think what happens for a lot of people is food becomes so important. We work on the food, we look at the food, we exercise the food off, we try a new diet, and we get into food universe because it's about the food. Hello, Wendy from Ottawa. And I guess what I'm saying is that we have to expand our definition of what feeds us, because oftentimes when we do that, our eating challenges have a little more room to breathe. They're not as chaotic. They're not as powerful. They're not as urgent. Hello, Christina from Seattle. So what else? What else feeds you? What else feeds your client? You know, is it people? Is it a certain kind of person? Is it a certain kind of music? Is it a certain kind of hobby? Is it art? Is it kind of exercise? Places to be? You know, favorite humans to hang out with? Your dog, your cat? To really start to focus on more. That's one of the great things I do with clients who are so knotted up in their relationship with food. It's soul food. Yep, some food goes into the body, and some food is coming in everywhere. It comes into the soul. And we get nourished that way. There's a deep nourishment. You know it. When your soul gets nourished, when your heart gets nourished, something good happens. I just want to go back. Megan's asking a question. She says, what's the difference between being in your body and being in your mind? So I'm going to say that being in your mind oftentimes feels like it's being in your head. So oftentimes when people say mind, they mean here, and the mind is thinking and it's doing stuff. And it's fine to be here. Being in your body, you can still be thinking, but you're present. So if I wasn't being in... Oops, somebody's talking. Hang on a sec. So, if I wasn't in my body, right now, you know, it might look like this, and I might be a talking head. How are you all doing today? I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about great questions to ask yourself about food. Can you see how my energy is pretty much present from the neck up? I can also say to you, hey, thank you for being here. We're going to talk today about great questions to ask yourself about food. I'm in my feet right now. I'm moving around. So yeah, there's a little bit of movement, but I breathe myself into my body. So Megan, I as best as I can say it, it is bringing your soul, bringing your energy all inside the whole being that is you. So when you're involved in something, when you're eating, you can feel your feet. You can feel the goodness of that meal in everywhere. And if you're feeling pain because you ate something that doesn't taste good, you don't just feel the pain on your tongue, you feel it everywhere. Christine says, just got back from Paris. Hardly any overweight people there. You know, people in France are very embodied. They are like, yeah, they're some of my role models for how to understand food. They're embodied in so many ways. They don't have a lot of judgment around food. They don't have a lot of judgment around intimacy, around sexuality, around the body. They let pleasure in. They let nourishment in as a culture. The world could learn a lot from the French, I think, in that way. So we were talking about, so it's embodiment. In embodiment, think of the times in your life when you lived in your head more and you were just all worried. Chances are if you're worried, you're disembodied. Chances are if you're highly anxious and highly afraid, you're disembodied. Chances are, if you're in a true survival stress response and the lion is chasing you, you are very embodied. It's the stress, the survival moment forces you to be in the body. So think of times in your life when you might have been less embodied and then something happens, you have a shift, maybe somehow you started doing, a kind of exercise, a kind of sport more, you moved to a different place, you like the environment better and you got into your body. That's what I'm talking about. So many people need to be invited back in. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about embodiment. We talk about trauma, we talk about post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSD. I personally love the model of PTSD. It really helps us understand PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, is simply this. Okay, excuse me for PTSD experts for simplifying your field, but I think it needs it. What happens is we can have an experience that is so traumatic, so intense, so stressful, so, oh my God, that the body can't unwind. It stays in the stress response. Stress response is only meant to last for 2-4 minutes at the most, approximately 2 minutes. In your 2-minute stress response, you're running from the lion, you have an amazing metabolism, everything is working in your direction, and then what happens is nature knows you have 2 to 4 minutes in a true fight or flight situation. Something's going to happen in that 2 to 4 minutes. You will either get eaten, you will run away, or you will defeat your adversary. 2 to 4 minutes. That's kind of what a fight looks like in nature. Evolution knows that, the body knows that, the wisdom of biology knows that. So what happens is there are certain, and then what happens is after that stress is over, assuming you're alive and you made it, the body recalibrates and it drops back into relaxation response, i.e. parasympathetic nervous system dominance. Animals do this in nature. They will run away from their attacker and then they shake it off and they just start grazing on grass like nothing ever happened. So all I'm saying is a post-traumatic stress is a stress that lasts and it stays and it doesn't go away. So what happens is when many of us get post-traumatic stresses, it could be from an abuse, a physical abuse, a sexual abuse, somebody close to you died, some intense emotional event happened. What happens is we can check out of the body. We literally, a part of us will leave the body because the body is the place where the pain was felt. Rape victims will often say this, I just checked out of my body. People who are being physically hurt in a situation where they can't defend themselves will often say, I checked out of my body. People who are at the front in war and get injured will often say, I checked out of my body. Because we know when we check out of our body, we don't feel. So it's a great way to deal with feelings that you can't deal with in the moment because they're too intense. So the idea is I check out of my body now, but then I come back in later and I deal with it. But usually when we check out, we don't always come back in. So a lot of our clients, a lot of people walking around have literally disembodied. They've checked out. Can you think of people, and I really mean this, I would love for you to think about people in your world, or notice people when you go outside and ask yourself, who's in the body and who's checked out of the body? I cannot help a person in their relationship with food unless I help them check into their body, if they're indeed checked out. We have to get back into the body. That's where it is. That's where the action is. When he says, I have not eaten at McDonald's in over 6 years, and 2 days ago I had an intense craving for a fillet of fish. Yuck, right? I could not figure out why on earth I was craving this so badly. Found out later my mother had a huge craving for a McDonald's fillet of fish. I went and had one. Great. Now I don't only have to deal with my cravings, but hers too as well. You know, it's certain things get passed down, and if you could laugh at it, you know, okay, a fish fillet at McDonald's once or twice here or there, is that going to kill you? No. Does it connect you to your mother in a sweet way? Sure. I'm of the belief system that it's possible that that craving for something that connects you to your mother in a good way, a craving for something that connects us to someone in a good way, even though that food might not be perfectly healthy, might be healthier for us simply because of what it's doing for the soul. You know, that's opinion there. So, how do you get back in your body? You breathe yourself in. You ask yourself, what is it that I can do that helps me embody? For some people, they do yoga, it helps them embody. Some people, it's dance. I had a client once, wow, chronic fatigue, young woman, 27, and was just distraught because she would go everywhere for help, spend so much money, so much time, so many doctors, so many experts, nothing was working. And you know, my first session with her was 2 hours. I mean, I kept going because I wanted to get as many details as I could, and I wasn't quite sure what to do with her. I was really thinking, wow, I'm stumped. Everybody else is stumped. But here's the one thing that carried her through, us through, me through together. I asked her a question she hadn't been asked before, and the question I asked her is, okay, you got chronic fatigue. I get it. That sucks. It's hard for you to work. It's hard for you to support yourself. She still has a full-time job, but she suffers. She's not in a relationship because she doesn't have energy. When do you have the most energy? When during your day, when during your week, do you have energy? And she says, well, she knew the answer right away. She says, when I salsa dance, which I do once a week. She said, I come alive. She said, I don't have chronic fatigue. It's the most amazing thing. And I said to her, well, I think I could help you have more energy. Can you dance more? You know, why are we dancing once a week? How come you're not dancing twice a week? Can you dance 3 times a week? What is to stop you? So she starts dancing 3 times a week. Now, that eventually led to her embodying more. As it turns out, what we later discovered was that in her upbringing early on, because of abuses that she had suffered and challenges in her family environment, she had checked out of her body. She was literally checked out. And at first I thought, because I was dealing with a chronically fatigued person, that I was dealing with a person who was tired as I'm looking at them. But really what I was doing was I was looking at somebody who had checked out of their body a long time ago, and we just realized, oh, this helps you check back in. So Rasha is saying, I'm not able to get involved in a meditation mood. Something distract me. It's like I need huge energy to start meditation and get embodied. What can I do? You know, I would try simple breathing exercises, Rasha. And it could just be as simple as standing outside, 5 to 10 long, slow, deep breaths, does a lot. Conscious breathing calls us into the body. It is one of the greatest techniques. Meditation is not easy for people. I'm honestly not a huge meditation fan across the board. Meditation for everyone. It's not suitable for everyone. It's suitable for some people. It's suitable for a lot of people. For some people, meditation takes them right out of their body, or it reinforces them being in their head. Virginia says, when I try mindfulness, my brain races rapidly. Yeah, very common comment. So I would love to comment on that, Virginia. When I try mindfulness, my brain races rapidly. So I think I know what you mean. I'm assuming when you try to be attentive, aware of what's going on, your brain starts racing. Part of it is if we're not accustomed to being mindful, when we first start to do it, we get nervous. People who are accustomed to eating really fast and you ask them to eat slow, freaks them out sometimes. Their mind gets all racing. Mind getting racy is another way of saying stress. It's another way of saying stress response, because what's happening is there's a part of us, strangely enough, that mounts an immune response against consciousness. There's a part of us that seeks the light. There is a part of us that seeks consciousness and awareness and goodness and love. And there's a part of us that resists it. You know that part of you. You know when you're in an argument and you're wrong and you're just holding your position because you don't want to admit that you're wrong and you don't want to step into the light and step into consciousness. So what I'm saying is that sometimes when we step into a practice of any kind that is about invoking awareness and invoking greater connection and greater presence and more consciousness and more light, a part of us starts to fight that. But really it's a dying fight. It's the part of us that kicks and screams, that doesn't want to wake up. So what I want to say to you, Virginia, and anybody else is it's a practice. Mindfulness is a practice. Awareness is a practice. Eating slow is a practice. Staying awake is a practice. Being embodied is a practice. A lot of people breathe themselves into their body and it scares them because they haven't been in their body much. Megan says, what do you do as a coach when you're struggling yourself? I feel like my coaching totally depends on how I feel about myself, my confidence. So yeah, that's a learning process. I wouldn't push yourself too hard in that regard because yeah, there are days that I feel good and then my work is good. There's days when, yeah, I didn't get up on the right side of the bread. You say, I have no exact answers. It's all personal and we have to be patient and figure it out. But it's so hard to tell people we're not starting with a set meal plan. Yeah, it's, that takes time. It takes time to develop your confidence and to learn how to be with people where you can step into your power. So really it's kind of for you learning how to just step into your power more and more in and of yourself and when you're with a client. And one of the ways we do that is to embody. Because if I'm going to disembody myself when I'm with a client, disembody means I get into my head. We're with a client and go, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. I don't know if this is the right thing. What if they leave me? What if they fire me? What if I don't get paid? And we're in our head and we're not in our body. And it's the entire package. When it's all connected and you're in your body, that's when we're functioning. That's when we're humming. That's when all your centers of intelligence are working together. So there's centers of intelligence all over the body. The heart is the center of intelligence. The gut is the center of intelligence. Your hips, your tanden in Japanese, centers of intelligence. So when we're embodied, we're bringing all of our intelligence to bear on the moment. So I want to mention one last question that's interesting to ask yourself, ask of your clients when it comes to relationship with food, which is, how am I nourishing the world? how am I a nourisher? What am I doing to that end? Because so often when we're stuck, when our clients are stuck in their eating issues, what are they stuck in? What should I eat? What should I do? What should I not eat? Which diet should I be on? How do I lose this weight? How do I go here? How do I go there? What I want to say is, yeah, those are good questions, and sometimes we need to take those questions about what should I eat? What should I do? How do I manage this? How do I manage my diet? What's best for me? Sometimes we have to put that to the side and ask the question, how am I nourishing others? How am I giving? How am I uplifting others? What service am I doing? How do I give my gift? Magdalena says, as within, so without. It's so true. So, and as without, so within. So when I'm nourishing without, when I'm giving, and not just obsessively focused on me, there's an expansion that happens. Our cells get a little bigger. There's more oxygen. There's more insight. There's more light comes in when I'm not intensely focused on me and my food and what should I do, but instead I'm focused on how do I give to others. So our task is not just to learn how to nourish me. Your task is not just about your body alone, because we're all connected. We all regulate each other's metabolism. When you are nourishing those around you, you're nourishing yourself. When you're serving those around you, you're serving yourself. So the good news is what goes around comes around, and especially as it relates to how we're caring for our own self, how we're caring for others. You know, we build up a bank account when we start to give more and we step out of our obsession. We step out of our problem for just a moment. Our clients need to do that. We need to do that sometimes. We need to have time where we go, okay, this thing that I'm obsessively focused about, that I'm trying to fix, that I'm trying to handle, that doesn't seem to get handled right now in this moment that I can't quite fix, let's put it over here to the side. Just remember, I'll come back to it. Your problem will still be there. I promise you. But when you put it to the side, you know it's there. You know you can come back to it. You're practicing accessing other parts of you. You're remembering that you are not your food issue. We become so identified. I'm overweight. I'm fat. I'm an overeater. I'm a binge eater. No, you're not. You are binge eating. You are overeating. You might be emotionally eating. You might have gained weight. But are you an overeater? Oh, that's a hard label. You know, in our training, we make very clear and very sure with our practitioners, it's not about labeling somebody. In fact, we're trying to take off the labels. We're looking at behaviors and we're looking at actions. We're looking at thoughts and emotions. We're looking at it all. I would never call someone an overeater. That's fine if they want to diagnose themselves as an overeater, but I will eventually correct them. Because what happens is we become so identified with the label that we get stuck. And when you label somebody and they become identified with that label, you can mess up somebody for the rest of your life, rest of their life. You know, you tell a kid when they're young, you're stupid. I have met people in their 50s who have told me, I thought I was stupid my whole life because somebody told me that when I was 6 years old. And I'm realizing now at 55, I'm not stupid. I'm like, yeah. Whew. Words get in. Our own words, our own self-diagnoses get in. So it's our job to notice how we language, how we self-language. Yes, I overeat. Yes, I binge eat. Yes, I emotionally eat. But it's not about I am that person. So when you step out of that, when you're giving to others, you're out of that identity for a moment. And when we step out of that identity, healing actually starts to happen. Because we're not locked into that diseased kind of thinking. So, my friends, well, holidays are coming up, if indeed you celebrate such things. So I would like to say thank you for tuning in. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate you being part of the conversation, part of the world. I know there was a couple of questions I didn't get to because I really wanted to stay focused on the topic at hand. But you'll be getting alerts every time I come on, which will be about 4 days a week. Again, I want to say if you hopped on later in the conversation and you're interested, we are enrolling for our next eating psychology and mind-body nutrition certification training. It's happening now. I already have great students from all over the world. I'm super excited. I am super proud of our graduates, many of whom are in this thread right now, and our students, many of whom are here as well. Thank you, Miss Kayla. Thanks, Megan. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Ona. So appreciate you being part of this conversation, part of our world. Thank you, Amy. I'm so glad you came by. And have a great holidays. Be safe. Celebrate. Feel good. Don't worry all about that nonsense. Oh my God, how can I control my appetite for the holidays? No. How can you nourish yourself in a good way for the holidays? That's a good question. My friends, take care. Lots of love. I will see you real soon.